If you're going to interview at Amazon, I'm going to tell you the 10 most common questions asked in their interviews, along with tips on how to answer them. Hello, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez. This is the Job Room channel. And for those of you interviewing at Amazon, I'm going to tell you everything you need to get hired. The 10th most common question in Amazon interviews, with a 22% incidence rate, is why do you want to work at Amazon? It's very important that regardless of the position, you bring up something fundamental to this company, which is the obsession with pleasing the customer, right? So let's say I'm applying for a financial analyst position. I won't even have that much contact with the customer, but I could still bring the customer into my answer and say, there are two very important factors why I want to work at Amazon. First, because I read the job description and saw that all the tools, all the technologies you require for this position, I already have more than 5 years of experience with. I'm a technical match for the role. And the second point is that Amazon is the company that respects the customer the most, the company that has an obsession with pleasing the customer. Although as a financial analyst, I don't have direct contact with the customer, I understand that my work greatly reflects on their satisfaction. So those are the two reasons I want to work here at Amazon. So one is the technical fit for the role, and the other is that important factor, which is the customer. The ninth question that will come up in your Amazon interview, tell me about a time you faced a very difficult problem to solve. There's a 29% chance this will come up in your interview. For this type of question, Amazon has a very strong focus on the STAR methodology, where you'll have to define a situation, the task, the action, and the result you achieved. So, hypothetically, now I'm a loss prevention specialist. And I could give an example and say, look, there was a time working in logistics when a shipment of glass tables was going over a road that was full of potholes. And the driver contacted me saying that those tables could break. Situation, my task as a loss prevention specialist was to immediately ask him to stay at the nearest gas station, parked and safe, until I could find a solution. My action was to present this problem to other team members, giving them the driver's exact location. And my colleagues, as part of the action, mentioned that it was important for him to take a detour to a road 10 kilometers ahead so the shipment would be preserved. That's exactly what was done. And the result was that we had a product loss rate of practically zero. And it was a difficult problem that I had to face, and I was able to bring a solution. So if you're going to interview at Amazon, here's my tip. Before the interview, already have 2 or 3 case studies from your field, from your profession, that you can talk about, mentioning the situation, the task performed, the action taken, and the result. Have all of this ready before the question comes, because it will come. Let's move on to the eighth question. Let's go. 32% of the time, why did you leave your last job? When you talk about this, before just answering why you left, try to show the recruiter or the technical manager at Amazon what positive mark you left there. So, for example, I worked as a product manager at another company, and they asked me why I left. So I can say, look, I spent 2 years there at, for example, Google. As a product manager at Google, I participated in a very important project where we developed a new customer service methodology, and this reduced customer dissatisfaction with a certain product by 40%. I mention a great professional achievement. Then I explain why I left. But after those 2 years, the company and I came to an agreement and decided to end that work cycle. You don't need to state the exact reason, especially if it was due to disagreements. And so today I'm looking for a new path, and I'm happy to be competing for this position as a product manager here at Amazon. Let's move on to the seventh question. This one, 41% of the time. Tell me about your professional career. At Amazon, it's very important that when you talk about your professional career, first of all, you're not too long-winded. Don't drag out your answer. You have to give an answer that's 2 to 3 minutes long. Second, try to describe your career path as an upward spiral where you can show your professional growth, what you learned, what you studied, and any promotions you received at other companies. It's very important. And the third technique for talking about your professional career is, if possible, to bring in numbers, results, important projects you've worked on that are related to the description of this job you're applying for at Amazon today. These are the most important points to include when describing your career. And I'm going to propose a challenge to you. Record an audio on your phone. Record yourself describing your professional career in 3 minutes, a maximum of 3 minutes, highlighting your best professional moments and results. Then listen to it and see if you're conveying that upward spiral of growth, if you're talking about results, so you can tell your story well in your Amazon interview. Let's move on to the sixth question and stay until the first one. The first question has a 79% chance of coming up in your interview. Before I continue, if you want to simulate an interview, to train for an interview live and online with me, to see if your answers are good, what you need to improve, the precautions you need to take, the link is in the description. You'll land on the Hotmart platform, which is 100% secure with a clear refund policy. There, you can schedule your time, make the payment, receive the link for the interview training sessions you purchased, and we'll meet to practice the interview with you. Okay. Here on the Job Ring channel, the videos are always coming and never fail. There are new videos every Wednesday. Subscribe and leave a like. Let's move on to the sixth question. How do you deal with difficult clients? There's a 47% chance this will be in your interview. Once again, I refer you to the STAR method. It's no use saying, oh, I handle them very well. I have a great ability to deal with difficult clients. Even when they're demanding, I stay calm. Amazon doesn't like conceptual answers. It likes practical answers using the STAR methodology. So I could give an answer here. Let's suppose I'm a marketing manager. How do you deal with difficult clients? Generally, I handle it calmly and try to understand what the client is requesting. I'll give you an example, and I'll go straight to the example. There was a situation where I created a marketing campaign for a client I was consulting for, and he disagreed with practically 90% of the Google AdWords campaign I had created to showcase his product. From there, situation, task. I performed a task. I scheduled a video call with him for over an hour and a half to understand the entire analysis he had done. Based on his comments, I countered some things where I thought he was wrong, but let's say I agreed with him on 30%. And we reached the point of changing that 30% of the campaign. From there, I took an action. I asked for another week, structured a new campaign, rebuilding a foundation that he had requested, and from that point on, the results were excellent. He had never sold so much in his business. So when I deal with difficult clients, I try to listen and understand in order to deliver good results. This is an example I can share, and that makes for a good answer. Fifth question. Since Amazon likes this STAR style question, which is, give me an example of a time you were stressed by a work situation. 52%. Okay? Once again, you'll have to provide an example. My tip is, try to bring up situations where you were stressed, but where you reached a resolution, where your stress was channeled into delivering a result. And not just that you got stressed and nothing came of it. So I'll create another situation here. Hypothetically, now I'm a logistics assistant. And then I can tell the story. As a logistics assistant at the company, Polynex, I experienced a lot of work stress when one of the trucks transporting goods to a port in the city of Porto, Portugal, that truck had a very high rate of damaged products. The products were fragile, and we had a 50% loss of the products. I get quite stressed because I was held accountable for it. From there, I had a task. As soon as the driver arrived, we had a video call to understand what had happened. And unfortunately, he had taken a wrong route, and the road on that route was very bad, which caused the products to be damaged. I took an action. From there, the action I took was I started mapping all the routes for the drivers who were under my control, the truck drivers under my control, and I would give them three route possibilities: an extremely safe one, a safe one, and a good one, so that we could reduce the number of damaged products. The result of this was that the following year, I was promoted precisely for being a logistics assistant capable of reducing products that get damaged on the road, for example. So you see situation, task, action, and result. Of course, these examples I'm giving are hypothetical, but you have to think of your own star examples, okay? Especially since there are more star questions here. They're gonna ask. Fourth question: how do you manage priorities at work when everything seems urgent and important? 59% of the time, this question will come up. Here, you don't necessarily have to use the STAR methodology. You can bring up, for example, two factors that are very important to Amazon, which are courage and simplicity. So I could say, when everything seems urgent and important, I take three actions that I find super relevant. First, where will the client benefit? Where will the client have the most advantage? Where the Amazon customer, if I'm working at Amazon, has the most advantage and the best experience, that will be the priority. A second point: courage. Courage to make decisions, arming myself with data, observing the issues, and deciding. And obviously, simplicity. I think it's important when we have demands that are all urgent to work on what is simple, what is direct, what will actually produce results. That's how I organize my work. And if hired under Amazon's guidance, I intend to develop that as well. It works out really well. You'll be bringing in Amazon's pillars into your answers. The third question, it's going to come up. Tell me your negative points for this position. There's a 63% probability that this will be in your interview, okay? Negative points for this position. My tip: avoid, because sometimes I'll give you an example. You're applying for a position as a financial analyst. There are 10 responsibilities for the position. 10. Out of the 10, you can do 8 of them with great ease. One you have little experience with, and the other you have no experience with at all. Be careful not to get too worried about the one you have no experience with and end up highlighting that to the interviewer. That's not good, okay? So when they ask about this, try to give an answer that focuses on the opposite. So I would say I looked at the position carefully and I noticed that out of the 10 aspects you're asking for in terms of competence, I have 8 with a lot of experience. One of them, for example, which is training in Power BI, is something I've done recently, but I don't have experience with it. But I learn very quickly. So if I have the opportunity, I will certainly overcome this obstacle. And so for me, the position is very suitable. Convey more confidence than uncertainty. So notice I said I didn't know, I said I didn't have experience, but I said I learned quickly. This skill of taking action, of getting into action, is very important in Amazon interviews. In fact, defending your positive points, your negative points, is in my ebook, which is here in the description of the video. You can get it with a discount coupon here on YouTube. The second important question: there's a 71% chance it will be in your interview. What motivates you most at work? Here, you can take 2 important values from Amazon, which are creativity and thinking big. Thinking big, thinking globally. So I could say 2 factors that motivate me a lot at work. The first one is creativity. I like to follow procedures, follow rules, do things, but think outside the box, think differently, understand things from another perspective, and propose creative ideas. Because I know that's a premise here at Amazon. So I am a creative person and I like to work in creative environments. And that motivates me a lot. And a second reason is thinking big. I like to learn, I like to do the tasks, but I understand that thinking in a macro way, wanting to grow, to develop myself with a sense of ownership of the business is a competence I've always had since the beginning of my career. And I believe these skills align well with what Amazon is looking for. And those are two factors that really motivate me at work. See, a perfect 10 answer. And the first question that's going to be in your Amazon interview, it's going to come up 79% of the time, which is tell me a little about yourself. It's the first question of the interview. And this question, it's so special, so important that you need to have a well-defined outline. And I've laid out that well-defined outline in this video right here. Go watch it. It'll help you a lot. All the best with your preparation. Take care and see you next time. Bye.